You're watching the Tesla Life live. If we screw up, there's no do-overs.
Welcome, everyone. And thanks for joining us on the Tesla Live number 264. Here we are, July 27th, 2022. And Patrick was absolutely correct. If we screw up, there is no recovery because it is live.
That's right, yeah. Last week I messed up the intro. Right off the bat. Boom. Proof that we're live. No retakes.
Well, introducing Mr. Patrick Connor from the West Coast. No screw up on the intro today. How are you doing today, sir?
Hey, I'm good. It is a hot one out there. And yesterday, 101, which is, I don't know what, 38 something. It's another scorcher today. The utility yesterday used the virtual power plant and started pulling electricity from my battery to help the grid out. And then today they're doing something similar where they are pre-cooling homes before the energy rush hour. So in fact, it just ended. So they for the last 2 hours, they've been cranking the AC, and now they're going to move the temperature up a bit so that everyone else is turning theirs on now. My house is already nice and cool.
They did that for nice. my Nest system right before the last total eclipse we had.
Right. Yes. There's a lot of programmable thermostats that do this, and a lot of utilities that sign up for it. The cool thing is any month where they do this, I get $25, and the nice thing is it's not like, oh, I'm letting them control my thermostat, so I have to sit here and sweat. No, my house is actually probably cooler than it would have been without being on this program. So they're paying me, and I get an extra cool house. Why isn't everybody in this program?
Man, absolutely. Sign me up. That sounds like a great program.
Yeah.
Also joining us as normal, Mr. Casey Green from the DC area. How are you today, sir?
A lot sweatier than Patrick is.
That's too bad.
We discovered today that the air conditioner unit on this house is too small. So we'll see what becomes of that. But in good news, I got this city train set from Lego from the UK. I don't know exactly where it came from, but apparently they were sold out all over the US. I don't know if it's discontinued or not. It finally showed up, but my wife pointed out that the box was not just bent as I thought it was, but it had a hole in it. So I get to put that together early.
It might be a few bricks short of a full load.
I'm going to have to open it up and find out.
It's somewhere in the Atlantic.
But it is an EV transit train with remote control.
Well, show us the picture of the box.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know they made remote control Lego stuff. I thought that was all Mindstorm.
We didn't know either until we went to the Lego place in Boston.
Look at that. It's a tram.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, it's a train.
That's already better than LA's transit system.
Very good. Very good.
So you can use the remote or the app.
Welcome to Derek, Cocky Day, and Anders, who are the early ones in the chat room today. Hello. Everyone.
And Derek, or the chat. He actually beat Hockey Day.
Good morning, good night to Anders, who's is in Europe and is ungodly early for him. But hello, everyone. Welcome. Well, we got a bunch of stories to touch upon today. Let's get right at it. We've got our first story concerning FSD Beta now reaching 35 million miles across the board. So again, we talked about this just a little bit last week with the earnings call summary. But what we've got here is some more information flowing out. We did hear the 35 million number previously. But again, this extra article that we're posting here just has a little bit more information on it. And this is, I guess what's happening here is this is the ramp. We're experiencing the ramp up of FSD in user hands, which of course is attributing to these extra miles that are going on to the the Tesla network as they're tracking this information. And I just wanted to point out that 35 million is going to seem really low in probably a few months, definitely half a year away, when Tesla is starting to open this up to everybody. So you're going to have
million miles a day.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be a million. It's going to be a million miles a day. Is probably going to be a low number, because right now it's kind of artificially being capped off by the number of people that Tesla want in certain areas or certain regions between the U.S. and Canada. But Elon has mentioned that he's confident about the FSD updates, and he believes that by the end of the year, it's going to be open to everybody, and there's no artificial ceiling based on the type of driver you are. The app is not going to stop people from getting it. So how much, like that's a pretty big statement. Like how much this is going to actually allow people on this. We really don't know the numbers because, of course, we don't know what the uptake is on FSD across the board. We don't know what the percentage is. So this certainly, but they have been artificially capping it off at what, 97%, 96% is about the lowest that they've been letting people on with the safety score. So if you take that all away, you're going to have a whole lot of people that are trying it out initially. I wonder because Patrick, you certainly know, Casey, you know, you've got to pay complete attention to FSD Beta. In fact, I would argue that you're paying almost more attention than if you were driving yourself. Yeah, because you're not second guessing yourself when you're driving. You know what actions you're performing and what order you're performing them. But when it comes to FSD, you guys are trying to double think the computer, what it's doing.
You're watching a teen driver. It's very confident of itself.
I'm just really concerned that as they open this up widely and drop the safety score completely, like are these newbies going to be following the same rules that you two are?
They probably won't. Okay, Dave, that's not correct. My Model X does not have a Tesla accessible in-cab camera. There is one there, but it's mine. You mentioned about how the rate has been going and how they've kind of leveled it, and I got irrationally irritated with a TechCrunch reporter because they drew the conclusion that because it's 100,000 this reporting quarter, it was 100,000 last reporting quarter, that meant nobody wanted to buy it. And I was like, no, you numbskull. It means nobody else is allowed in.
Oh yeah, well,
I mean, your one job is a reporter. Yeah. In fact, if he was right, then the number should have gone down because there are people who got kicked out and people who quit.
Yeah,
right.
But that's where we're going here, and that is going to open up probably in the next quarter or 2 quarters away. It's going to start to open up. So I think that 35 million miles is going to be a low bar shortly. It's going to jump dramatically.
Then the limiting factor becomes Tesla's ability to ingest the data, not the because there'll be tons of data. It's just okay now. Which ones are the right clips to put into the training set? Which ones really are problems versus this is the same straight road we've got millions and millions of miles of we don't need. So they're going to need smart auto labeling and ways to detect problems.
Yeah. So I'm actually right now pulling up the list of how much data this car has used this month. And remember, I work from home now, and so it's not as much as it has been in the past. So let me see statistics by month, and then the Model X is the third most traffic in my house, behind my NAS server and my MacBook.
Wow.
So the Model X used in the last 30 days rolling 262 gigabytes. At the time of last show, it was actually over 500 gigabytes. But
so yeah, even if they're sending a 15-second clip, well, there's 8 cameras around, right? So and then there's telemetry data and other stuff that has to go with that as well. So even just sending one little report to them is sending them a lot of data.
Yeah.
Exactly, and then as you said, once it gets to be too much, hopefully by then they'll have Dojo, or at least parts of Dojo turned online.
Yes.
Because right now they're doing all this with the NVIDIA cluster, which is impressive, but it takes them 2 weeks. So while 2 weeks, yes. So while it's processing, they're doing any of the changes they would make like programmatically to FSD, and then by the time they finish their programming sprint, then the computer coughs up another chunk of training data, and they put the two together. They test it with employee cars, and then assuming it's not hot garbage, they start rolling it out slowly to all the testers.
Right.
Yeah.
If every iteration is a fraction of a percent better, the faster you can iterate, the faster you get to really good. And the fact that this current system takes them 2 weeks, if Dojo can do it in half the time, that cuts down until the time it takes before the steering wheel can be removed.
Right. I mean, even if it still takes the programmers, the actual humans, 2 weeks for each sprint, that means that if Dojo can do it in a week or half a week, that would mean twice or 8 times that they could refresh the abilities using the exact same logic, but with new scenarios that the car has seen. So it'll still get better without them even touching a button, which is pretty cool.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Also, I would like to welcome David and JT to the live stream. They're in the chat as well. Hello, gentlemen. One, our feature story of the week, and thanks to Casey for pointing this out. But we just got the video in today. I'm Patrick. Sorry. We got this.
It's good. It's all good. I can
this,
see why you get us confused. We're almost twinsies.
There's upper and lower Casey, apparently. So, so what we've got is Sandy Munro from Munro Live posted a new video just today, and they got further into the battery pack, the 4680 that they've got from the Model Y that was produced at Giga Texas. And what was cool about this is they were able to eat into the pink stuff enough that they actually exposed the 4680 cans. So here's a picture of that. And they actually used a dry ice sandblasting technique to eat away the pink stuff, this foam insulation of sorts that engulfs the incomplete pack down the sides, across the top. We're speculating on the bottom as well. But they're still not as far in as they'd like to be. Previous versions of the Tesla pack, they've been far into it, where they've been able to take a module out and remove a number of cells and look at the upper and lower cooling chambers. All that hasn't been done yet. These guys have been working on this now for, I believe, over a week. And they've just gotten to the pack where they were able to peel the lid off, and now they've been able to remove this pink stuff from the side of the pack and expose some of the 4680's cans. But it is interesting. We know certainly from the effort that's had to go into this particular build, or this particular teardown, we know for a fact that if you have a problem with a module or a cell in this pack, it's a replacement job for the entire pack. Mm-hmm. Like, there's no way that anyone is going into this to take out 4 cans and replace them, or a whole module pack, which consists of 204 batteries apparently in one of the 4 modules. So that is the case, but that may be a good thing too, because that is the reliability of the packs that are being built, that they have confidence in the fact that we can encase them so that they'll never have to come undone, and we won't have to replace them. There's not going to be an issue, because we are that confident in the chemistry and the makeup of these packs going forward that they're willing to make it an unserviceable pack. It just has to be replaced if there is an issue. So that's kind of interesting outlook as well.
Not
the
just
other thing I wanted
pack, but also almost a full day of labor to take the thing out and put it back in. So like they don't want to tie up their technicians that amount of time. So that again shows confidence. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Right. And then the other thing I wanted to mention, and we've gotten responses like this through our Twitter feed at the Tesla Life from certain people. when they're, I guess they're speculating that, well, if it's that hard to take the pack apart, how are they ever going to be able to recycle it? And what they don't understand is that when it comes to recycling on an industrial scale, what happens is that pack is basically put into a grinder and completely chopped up into fine bits of materials. And then those bits are put into a tank where they're floated, and you can get different levels based on whether it's aluminum or steel or lithium or whatever. They can break them all down in the process of industrial recycling and be able to pull and extract those raw materials into their own separate bins, where they can then just be rolled back into the manufacturer of new batteries again. So that's not a concern when it comes to industrial recycling. If you're thinking of recycling when you watch like Rich Rebuilds, when he's ripping apart a single pack, that is not what's happening when it comes to industrial recycling. The entire pack is ground up and then separated based on the different processes they have in place to do that.
Another concern there is that everything that you're looking for in a battery pack, all the expensive stuff, is elemental. So it doesn't matter that you've ground it up. It's still just as good as it was. We're talking gold on the PCBs. We're talking copper and aluminum inside the cells and the wiring. We're talking cobalt, lithium, nickel. They're all just elements. They're not or they are molecules, but they're not like compounds or anything. They like literally, as Sandy described, you can use several different processes to extract them out at a high purity level. It's and Elon's described this before. He says that you're mining the packs. This is not. It's not. The one thing you want to do though is Redwood does this is they drop the packs down into liquid nitrogen, freeze them out before they grind on them. That way you don't have to discharge the pack either. You just drop it in the grinder whole, and you don't have to worry about it catching on fire like you would if you ground it up at room temperature.
Right. Because the cold blocks the chemical reaction from happening.
Right.
Whether they're charged or not. Yeah.
Right.
And of course, that's probably the best way to do it, because of course, Redwood and other recyclers are probably going to get a ton of different packs at different stages of charge, different types of packs. And of course, they're not going to have the capability of maybe separating them into separate grind ups. They're wanting speed and efficiency, and being able to freeze the whole thing and grind it all up and then extract the metals separately is the best way to go for speed of automation.
Right, because if you had to have the equipment to properly discharge a Tesla pack, and then which Tesla are we talking about, and then a Ford, and then again which Ford, and then a bus. Oh wait, there's 8 buses. It's just too much time, effort, and everything. Like you said, if you just freeze it, chuck it in the grinder, they only have one process to worry about.
Yeah, I just looked up the temperature. Liquid nitrogen is negative 320 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 196 Celsius. That's cold.
Definitely.
Closer to a Kelvin scale than Celsius.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. We have put the link to the most recent video. I think it's under 20 minutes. So if you want to take a look, please do. There will be another, probably 1 or 2 before they get this pack completely taken apart. But it is interesting to see the differences between this pack in the Model Y and the 2170 pack in the Model Y. So it's been interesting to watch.
If you want one of those cells, go to Munro Live now and place your order, because for just several $100s, you can have one.
Yeah, exactly. And they'll even put it in a plastic case for you, so it won't explode in your bookshelf.
And they may or may not be able to ship it internationally. They're still working on that.
What's a quick flight to Detroit, though? Come on.
That's too cool for a supercharger. Oh, yes, absolutely.
Liquid cooled cables. Not that cold.
Next, Casey's got a story about connectivity and what have we lost, Casey?
All right, so you may have seen me make a video back when Tesla killed the premium connectivity for life on the car about how you could keep your premium connectivity for life. Well, recycle that same video and use it for standard connectivity for life. because now after 8 years after the vehicle has been sold, beginning for vehicles ordered after July 20th of 2022, standard connectivity is now only an 8-year plan on the vehicle. After that, you'll have to pay for it if you keep a car that long.
What does standard connectivity give you?
So standard connectivity gives you navigation.
Okay.
When you're on the road, you can still hook your phone up to it.
So does that mean it's not going to direct you to superchargers and stuff? Correct. If you're on? Oh wow, that is a problem.
It could be,
but you can use your phone as a hotspot.
Yeah, you can use your phone as a hotspot. So what you do is you turn on your hotspot, then you shift into drive or reverse, turn it on and turn on the Wi-Fi back in the car, and connect back to your hotspot, and it'll stay until you put it in park again.
Huh.
So you have to redo that process every time you park it.
Oh yeah, Elon wants to know the crap out of you, so you buy his stuff. It's like with me and Patrick with our Model X. The app says, "Oh, we can't roll your windows back up." I downloaded a third-party app, pushed a button, all my windows went all the way up, not just from the crack. I'm like,
right,
lying son of a gun. But I knew they were doing this when a technician popped in my car and rolled all the windows up from the laptop. I'm like, well, what is stopping you from doing that remotely? Apparently,
right.
$100,000.
Is it just that the API is different and they're lazy, or is it malicious?
I think it's just the same as why legacy cars don't get the blind spot turn signals yet, or the remote Sentry View. Is they thought that it would be enough to get us to upgrade cars, and they could also argue that, oh well, it took extra man hours of programming and testing, and we didn't have it because we can't afford telephones for service.
I understand that they can't support vehicles forever with new features. That makes sense, right. But
when it's already there, like their whole argument with the Model 3 is the only difference between your car's computer and a Model 3's computer is theirs is liquid cooled and all attached to one module. Well, prove it. Like, why is it so hard to give me a remote Sentry View and turn signal? You don't know where to put it? Just arbitrarily put it up there. It doesn't matter where.
Right. Yeah, I was complaining last week that I got a software update and it took away a bunch of the charging data. And I was like, oh, well, that's fine if I get waypoints. No, I didn't get that either. So that was not an upgrade.
Right, it was a downgrade.
It should show that on the screen. It should say, operate downgrade. And you can just avoid that one.
Right. Yes. Skip.
Hockey Day asked if the cars are G5 capable. So my Model X and all these guys' Model 3s came with LTE. Did your X come with LTE? Did you have to upgrade it? Okay, so all of our cars have LTE, which is 5G. But if you had a car,
LTE is 4G.
4G, 4.5G, depending on your carrier, what they want to market it as.
Right. It's really 4G. Even if they call it 5G, it's really 4G.
Exactly. The new Teslas rolling off the factory today, though, a lot of them do actually have a real 5G modem in them. They still just say LTE on them. So what happened before that was they had 3G. And when that ran out, Tesla gave you the option to upgrade your modem. They gave you the option before as well when they had it, when they were still retrofit friendly, and you could pay to upgrade your modem. And then when 3G was canceled throughout the U.S., they reduced the price and still let you pay to upgrade to get your modem. Or if you got a new MCU, they would just include the new modem with it. So, yeah. They don't take away many options. They usually just don't give you new stuff, even if there's nothing stopping the car from doing it. Like in the case of Green, they only found that my car not only can do the blind spot and remote Sentry, but they've actually finally started to put some of the stuff in for it to actually not say, hey, your car's too old, buy a new one. And then in my case, where I found with that third-party app where there's nothing stopping me from rolling the windows back up. Yeah.
Okay, on to the next story. And this one's...
Sorry, we don't know how much it's going to cost because we're talking 8 years from 7 days ago, so they'll figure it out by then.
What the price will be of that, but that is, I don't know. I'm two minds of the whole thing. Like it,
I get it, but I don't like it.
Yeah, like I understand that nothing's free, but yet it was free up until, last week.
Right.
Is that because the volume of cars that are being sold is that much more monstrous? They're
But at the
selling the
same time,
cars for a higher profit. Like,
Right.
I don't think that's changing. So,
and they get so much useful data, even from a customer that doesn't pay for FSD, that like all that is still turned on. But if they turn off the
Right.
modem, just like GM does when you lose your OnStar because you didn't pay for it, once they turn that off, it's a dud rolling down the road. They have nothing into it. So
They can still get the data whenever you go to a supercharger or
or
service center
Wi-Fi.
or
Yeah.
home Wi-Fi. Yeah, so
Yeah.
they can still get what they need just because you don't have it on the road. Yeah.
Yeah.
but
What
if
premium
the
connectivity?
supercharger mapping is going to be gone,
Hmm.
that's problematic for the ownership of the vehicle.
Yes, unless you can do a better route planner on your phone, and then they get some kind of CarPlay, whatever, where you can
Right.
just project it.
Or you got to do all your mapping right before you leave home. All right, I'm going here.
Print out a piece of paper, go
Right.
like you did from MapQuest in 1994, and
Just do it on the MCU and don't make any wrong turns whatsoever. But the problem is sometimes FSD will make a wrong turn. Well, I guess you wouldn't. Would you buy FSD if you don't want to buy connectivity?
That's funny. So what premium connectivity is $10 a month? Is that
$9.99, or they finally have the yearly plan where you can save 2 months if you buy it all at once.
so $100 a year?
Yeah.
So hopefully this is half or less. Would be my assumption.
Hopefully way less. Like make it $2 a month. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just a map. I mean,
Yeah.
phones right now have free maps for life. So
Who does Tesla pay for this? Is it AT&T or Sprint or?
in the U.S. it's AT&T, and in other countries it varies. And then for
Mhm.
the maps, they show us Google Maps, but they use a
Their own
combo, their own routing, Tesla Nav, as well as they used to use TomTom, but they have a whole amalgamation of them that they use now, but not TomTom.
I wonder how much their AT&T bill is every month, and that the number of cars is going to keep increasing. Yeah, billions. Yes.
Yeah.
But especially for people like me that are like, I'm skip-tastic on the radio.
They're monitoring that, Casey. So
Oh,
you
they
gotta
are.
be
I've
careful,
noticed.
yeah.
I've noticed they'll degrade my sound sometimes.
Lower your bandwidth because you're wasting
Exactly. You're wasting it. Well, stop making such
Speaking of
crappy choices
bandwidth,
on returns.
That's a good segue, bandwidth. Our
Yes.
next story is about Tesla exceeding 1,000 4680 packs per week by the end of 2022. So this is a story again about the 4680, which of course we have said this many times. This is the future of Tesla. This is how they're going to be able to make the Semi. This is going to how the Cybertruck is going to be born. It's all through this 4680 pack. And of course, the issue that we've seen to this point when it comes to Texas was that it was slow off the start because I believe they couldn't get enough 4680s because their process wasn't completely locked down yet. They were still experimenting. They were still making some modifications. They were still experiencing some hiccups here and there that they were, fixing. And this is some better news that the pack scale up is starting to get better. And of course, we know that once we get into next year, the 4680 is going to be in huge demand for the Cybertruck. And it will not be able to leave the plant unless they're fully spun up with the production of these packs. So this is going to be critical going forward. And I'm at least happy that we're seeing some improvement of the production here. Previously, even today, Cato Road is the one that's been leading the way with the experimental initially, now the production version, and now they're starting to install the machinery at Gigafactory Texas, following Cato's lead and Cato's production equipment, so they can start producing them right on site. I most likely believe that Cato Road will run for some foreseeable future as well, producing the same 4680s just to add to the inventories that are going to be required. But they're saying that Texas is going to eventually spool up and certainly surpass Cato Road by a magnitude because they need that many batteries. flowing out to get some of these new projects off and running. I can't imagine the number. Well, I can't imagine, but it's a lot of batteries that we've put in the semi. They're not going to be producing as many semis as they say 1.4 million Cybertrucks, but certainly it's going to add to the inventory woes if they don't have something fully spun up. So this story is just kind of indicating that they're getting better with the 4680s and the packs are starting to flow, which is great news because we know it's going to be intense as of the start of 2023.
And that's exactly what Elon said on the conference call. He said they don't need any 4680s to complete their plans for this year, but they cannot complete their plans for next year without 4680s.
Right. And most of this article comes directly out of that. So we
okay.
did touch on it after the, yeah.
So good news there. Other good news on the other side of the ocean, Berlin has started with some new colors. So we knew that Giga Berlin was going to have this brand new, fancy, top of the line painting line, and they have started to produce some of the new colors. And in this case, it was the Mercury Silver Metallic, and of course the Deep Crimson Multicoat that we've seen on Elon's Model S when it was parked at SpaceX. We were speculating that was the color because it was a darker red, a blood color type red that was on that vehicle as well. So there has been some photos from the drone army over in Germany. And these vehicles were caught outside of the factory. So no official word from Tesla at this point, but they certainly were caught. So there's some testing going on with the new colors. Haven't seen anything on the website. Not sure if they're just going to flip a switch and maybe the Deep Crimson Red is going to replace the current red. Not even sure about that. But certainly the silver is going to be a new color because Tesla canceled silver quite some time ago. So this will be an addition that the people that want silver, at least the new color will be there. So
what's old is new again.
Exactly.
Speaking of recycling.
And that's kind of cool too, because like here in Ontario, when you spot a silver Model 3, you know that was part of the original batch. You know, that was really that was 2018, probably one of the first 10,000 vehicles sold that came into Ontario. So they're certainly rare at this point, but silver back in the throw will be good to see again, because I think it's a good color. It's a nice color, and certainly Tesla does need a splash of different colors. At this point, it's been pretty well the same colors over and over and over again, and we'd like to see some new colors. I understand that it is a problem in inventory, and you have to service these things. You have to keep colors available for people to buy for touch-up, or actually, a body shop that has to spray a new panel or two. But we'd like to see some new colors appear here and there. Even though I have to say, in today's world, the wrap is something that can add to it. But
plus with the body shop, they mix their own paints on site. Touch-up paint, you could probably just kind of have some sort of to order, because that's actually what happened with my first. I keep buying all these colors they cancel. My first one was the titanium silver metallic, which was that champagne color, and Tesla didn't actually have the right color on hand when it was time for my touch-up, and then they had to order it, and it came in eventually. They gave me something, and it was not the right match. And then for my current car is the Obsidian black metallic. It looks like regular free black, but if you park it next to free black in the direct sunlight, you can see that mine sparkles.
Nice.
But also, same thing with the touch-up paint. I had to wait a couple weeks to get my touch-up paint.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see once Berlin starts to put it out. I'm excited to see some of these colors under showroom lights, to see what they look like under direct sunlight. The pictures that obviously taken by the drones are not all that fantastic.
So under
Yes,
showroom
Casey.
lights, free black and Obsidian black look the same. So you
Oh.
literally have to take them out in the sun to see the difference.
Oh, that's weird.
It sucks.
Yeah,
That's why I
showroom
get
lights are
canceled.
usually bright enough to show off the depths and sparkles and stuff.
Yeah. Or at least it wasn't on those little samples. Remember they had the samples in the showroom?
Yeah.
Next story, we were talking previously about, of course, Hertz in the United States buying 100,000 Model 3s. Well, budget rental car here in Canada has started to provide the Model 3 at some locations. But of course, there was no announcement about the 100,000 cars that budget bought, because of course there's no such thing. They probably got 12. But they at least started to provide it. This is good that rental car companies are starting to see the demand is there. Others are starting to realize that Hertz was early on this. They've jumped out in front and received a lot of free publicity about renting EVs, and of course renting the top tier of EVs when it comes to the Model 3 and Model Y. So that's good. It started to wake up some of these other rental car companies, and hopefully more will come to the table, because there's nothing worse than having an EV in for service with somebody and realizing that you cannot get an EV from your rental company as you wait for your EV to be fixed. So,
yep.
So after my Model S was rammed repeatedly by the semi-truck, they put me in a brand new 2018 BMW convertible, but it was a gasser. So I switched back. I drove it home, parked it in the driveway, and switched back to the Volt, except for the very last day when I had to bring back the BMW. Then I drove it back with the top down because, it's convertible. Might as well see what all this fuss was about. Yeah.
Enjoy it, yeah.
Yeah. In South Carolina, the sun's beaming down on you. It's terrible. And then I convinced them that because I don't ever pay for fuel, because I had supercharging for life on that car and I had solar, that they should pay for the gas I had to buy for that day and a half to refill. And they did. They hated it. They did it. They're like, you got to buy electricity. I'm like, no, I don't.
Mm-hmm. Even if you did, it'd be a tenth the price. I mean,
that's exactly right.
Maybe not a tenth, but yeah, a lot cheaper. Yeah,
for sure.
It's funny how you only realize how horrible gas is when you're forced to drive again. I traveled and we had a rental car, and I'm just like, oh God, I have to turn this off manually. What's all this rattling?
Why does the door close itself?
Yeah, that is amazing though, isn't it? Like we are so spoiled now that we've got the best cars on the road. It's a joy to drive every day. And if you're forced to rent another vehicle that's a gas vehicle, it's like you do nothing but complain. Whether it's loud or both.
I was complaining for the whole week, and everybody's like, "Why are you complaining a brand new BMW?" I'm like, "Because it sucks."
It's amazing. It really is. But that's absolutely true. And I don't know how many times I've driven one, and I was like, "Man, this thing takes so long to spool up every time I press on the accelerator pedal. Like, what's it doing?"
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, absolutely. I'm
trying to think of another thing that's like that. Another analogy, like when you go from dial-up to broadband, you're never going to go back.
Induction to gas.
Oh yeah,
not the red eye, but induction. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of little things like that where once you go over that precipice,
SSD
you're never
and
going to go back. Say it again.
SSDs and spinners on the computer.
Oh right, yes, hard drive performance for the new tech. Yeah, definitely.
Yep, you're absolutely correct, Patrick. Definitely.
Or any of the new computers from Tesla.
Casey's got a story about Shanghai. What's going on at the other Gigafactory, since we've touched on every one almost today?
Yeah, so you might remember last week where I told Derek that he was really close with his 2.2 million prediction. Well, Giga Shanghai is halfway to increasing their production capacity to 1.2 million cars per year today.
Wow.
So they're at 600,000 now run rate for the year as they're spooling up.
2,000 cars.
1.2 million is the goal.
Yeah.
Currently, that's Halfway there. Good.
Yeah.
Man, that's gonna help everybody's numbers across the well. Let's face it, Giga Shanghai is the largest producer for Tesla. I don't think there's any question, based on the actual cars they pumped out, and of course what we saw last June after the shutdown. They spooled up so quickly to catch up on the this Q2 loss that they jumped out way out in front with the amount, and then we started to see that in some stories last week with the over 10,000 vehicles sitting at the port in Shanghai ready to export. So not a surprise.
Several container ships worth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So very good. Now we did have the story kind of at the beginning. It kind of matches in with the beginning. Patrick's got a story about Redwood, and of course their connection with Tesla.
That's right. So this comes to us from Teslarati. Redwood Materials, battery materials facility in Nevada, is a $3.5 billion disruptor. So we all know this is founded by J.B. Straubel. He was the CTO at Tesla, and he left to go follow this up. And he's called it a gigafactory in reverse. So instead of having raw materials come in and batteries go out, old batteries come in and raw materials go out. Yeah. So this is what we heard Musk on the last conference call say, our path to a renewable future, the limiting factor is batteries, and the thing limiting batteries is access to materials. So we are going to have more and more things that are battery powered, and we don't want to just throw those materials into a landfill. One, it's stupid. We have to. You've got the materials. It's not like gasoline where it's burned. It's still there. The same amount of whatever it is, nickel, cobalt, iron, whatever materials are in there, the same stuff can be extracted from it and made into new batteries. So that's what Redwood Materials is doing. And is there anything particular in here that you wanted to call out, Mark or Casey?
No, wasn't anything particular. Just it's the disruptor title, which was
Yes.
kind of caught my eye. That a lot of people don't realize that this is even going on. Like they don't understand. Like, I don't know how many people that we meet every a casual meet up with somebody that doesn't own an EV, and in their head is, first of all, an EV has to replace its batteries every 4 years or 3 years
Right.
or something.
Because
And then the
that's what their
second
cell
part
phones
of it
have to
is,
do.
well,
Right.
you're shipping it all to the dump. That can't be good for the environment. And it's
Because
like,
I think they're alkaline batteries now all of a sudden.
yeah,
Yes.
that's the next thing. It's like that Saturday Night Live skit where the car ran on Duracell AA's. But this is not the case. It's interesting that JB left Tesla in order to explore this end of life cycle recycling, to the maximum. I got to believe that this was a plan that was probably hatched long before JB left, because they knew that at the end of life cycle of these batteries, whether that be 15 or 20 years down the road, those batteries at some point are going to be their end of cycle. But there's so much raw material in each of those battery cans that can be used again. And of course, it's cheaper to recycle from these purified forms that are in these cars than it is to mine. So if you've got millions of cars over time that start to be recycled every 20 years, you imagine that, 1 million packs of refined materials ready for you to mine from and create your new batteries from. So it makes complete sense that these batteries are never going to see a landfill. They are all going to go to a place like Redwood or other recyclers that are going to systematically take them apart, as we mentioned in the Sandy Munro video, and grind them up and get them into their separate bins so they can be resold again and put into brand new batteries. So this is the disruption that people really don't see that is not only coming, but I would argue is already here. It's just
definitely.
that the volume hasn't actually started to slip into place. These are companies that are ramping up and getting ready to handle that volume, which will take a few years to get to them. But this is fantastic news.
Yeah, it's definitely already here. I spoke with on Sunday. I spoke to. I pointed out all the partnerships that I could find in a quick search, real quick. So right off the top, Redwood has partnered with Toyota and Panasonic, and Panasonic in Giga, Nevada, as well as they just recently signed a deal with Volkswagen. So they've got everybody involved right there with all the, like, from Panasonic and Tesla right there is the bulk of what's out there right now. And then when you look into it, like, pretty much everybody is partnering with Redwood. So it's exciting.
Yeah, definitely. And once they're getting these raw materials, what's to stop them from moving up the supply chain? And it looks like they might even be making some of their own anodes and other things.
Yeah. I mean, because we know how much all the other manufacturers like to have a turnkey solution to just dump in their thing. So there you go. Dump this in your battery. Dump your battery in the car. Ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So this is great news, and it's not just Redwood. There are a number of other recyclers out there as well. Li-Cycle is one that I'm aware of out of Canada, but there's a number of them that are starting up, and they're going to be paying top dollar for these used battery packs, so that they can grind them up, separate them, and sell them back to the different EV manufacturers. So, that's something great. This stuff will never see a landfill. It's just going to be used over and over again, and that's some of the benefit of this forward thinking of the complete life cycle of the equipment. From built to grave to built again. So fantastic news.
It makes the lead battery. I want to make the lead battery cycle look like a child's toy, because that one is 97.5%. Recycled.
Wow.
All the new lead batteries are made from old lead batteries. They don't really do new lead mining for car batteries or whatever other applications.
Yeah, because so many of them come back for the recycling, right? Because they're worth money. Like, that's what it boils down to. If the thing is worth nothing or costs you money, then I could see them going to landfills. But when it's actually, you get a refund on that unit, then who's giving up the money for the refund? Like, nobody. Like, that's how they encouraged a lot of recycling when it comes to bottles or cans or whatever else. It's
deposits.
It's putting a deposit on it and saying, well, once the can is empty, give it back to us and we'll give you a quarter or whatever it is. So it just makes a lot of sense.
If you own a shop and you get $500 for a pallet of used car batteries, of starter batteries, are you going to throw them in the landfill? No, you're going to stack them up and wrap them in plastic.
You're going to put a sign on the front of the shop that says, drop off your batteries here. Like, that's exactly what you're going to be doing. So next,
now do it times 10,000.
Yeah, exactly. So next, Tesla's moved into another brand new country as it expands the Supercharger network, and that country is Turkey. So the first Supercharger in Turkey has been placed. And of course, we always want to thank supercharger.info that has this great information about the entire Superchargers across the face of the earth. I don't know how they keep up on it, but it is fantastic to see that another country has now been added to the Supercharger network. And you can see kind of the progression. If you take a look at Europe, you can see the fanning out of Superchargers heading further and further east as it comes into these new countries. So that's fantastic. And yes, Hockey Day, I thought turkeys could fly as well. That's a WKRP in Cincinnati call out showing your and my age. That's what that's doing. But absolutely. Next story is about StarLink, and this is another disruption story. StarLink has gone to the FCC asking for permission now to be able to connect to some cell phones, mobile. I don't understand it completely, but from what I get from the article, which of course all our articles are linked below, you can go in and read them at your leisure. But I believe what's going on here is Starlink is asking some permission to be able to transmit directly to a cell phone that would allow it to pick up some internet abilities. So not sure if this is telephone call stuff, but it's definitely internet. But what I wanted to point out is Starlink and SpaceX are not really telling us the whole story. What's going on here is it's a disruption in disguise. There is something going on in the background where, and we've speculated on this some time ago, that I think Starlink could be setting up almost a telecommunications company of their own. Like, yes, they do provide internet to remote areas, now to ships and planes and trains that are traveling, to RV owners, to rural areas. Yes, all that is happening. But we hear about the new Starlink version 2 satellites that can only be launched by the Starship because of their new larger size. We hear about what are these larger satellites going to be able to do? You know, are they just being able to pick up more capacity from the ground or the ground stations? They're now beaming back and forth directly, so less ground stations are required in certain areas. But man, is this progressing into a full telecommunications company? Is there going to be a Starlink phone? Is there going to be a Starlink competitor to, say, AT&T and Verizon? Is that what this ultimately is heading towards? Because they're building a large network. And then the other part of the story is they're going to be asking for FCC approval in the future to launch even more satellites above the thousands that they have approval to do now. So this is there's a lot of stuff going on, and they're not telling us much. They're just kind of leaking little things out here and there. And I would assert that maybe Dish Network, while they're up in arms and saying we want to use some bandwidth or we want to overlap on what some of Tesla, I think they may be thinking that we better get involved with this quickly because they could eat our lunch because we see this as a disruptive project, and we see it's eating into our profits already. It's going to get worse if they start opening up other aspects of this telephone service besides the internet. Are they going to be a full-fledged telco? It's there's a lot of questions here that really they're mum's the word on this. They're really keeping quiet about what they want to release.
I do like, I'm going to read this quote from the application. The system will ensure that all Americans, even those in polar regions, enjoy the same low-latency mobile services, and consumers are not the only beneficiaries of this improved service. For many federal users, satellite service is the only communications option to support critical missions. Improving capacity and latency for these users could have significant national security benefits. All of these services are in the public interest. Emphasis mine.
Yeah,
where are they going with this?
Yeah, if you've ever used a satellite phone when they're on a geostationary satellite, the latency is annoying. You end up talking over each other, or you stutter stop, and they've already finished, but you don't think they are because you're only hearing it now. It's very awkward, but that's not going to be a problem with the Starlink stuff because those are not geosynchronous way out there. They're low Earth orbit, low latency, and yeah,
closer
you're right,
to you than the cell tower.
Yeah, there's so we were just talking about how Tesla probably pays a giant bill to AT&T and other telcos around the world. So if they could get rid of that and pay SpaceX instead, that's a whole lot better for Musk Co. in general.
Yeah.
And they've already got superchargers if they start putting dishes at every one of those, and then providing Wi-Fi service initially to the cars that pull up. Now they've gotten rid of that bandwidth that would have been used. Then, like you said, maybe they go to 4G, 5G after that. And so now when you're anywhere even within a couple miles of Supercharger, you're using their bandwidth instead of the telco provider. This and yeah, you do it incrementally and just keep taking little steps like that, and all of a sudden you've got a whole network that's disrupted everything.
I would love to see the master plan of this. Like they're just releasing these little bits, but the way that Musk thinks, that there is a master plan, and like you said, maybe it's eliminating their cell, their cell bill completely. Maybe that's
right,
part
and
of
that's
it.
only step 3 and 20, right?
Yeah,
Right, right.
exactly.
So my supercharger by my house, the one in South Carolina, it sprouted a pole and a StarLink dish the other day, and
Nice.
the only reason that we found it was one of the guys there, because obviously I'm not in South Carolina at the moment. One of the guys there put his car in park at the supercharger, and he said it connected to Tesla. He's like, "What do you mean Tesla? Tesla service?" And then he's like, "All right, so let me look around, look up." He found the pole and the dish, and so that also went to. Remember, we were speculating, how does this work? It literally broadcasts a Tesla service AP. So his
Cool.
car was then switched from using AT&T to play his Netflix to using StarLink to play his Netflix. And
Right.
Hockey Day mentioned, well, not the Ukraine, thank you, but that's also important. But Russia and China will target Starlink with their lasers. They already have. Remember, Elon made the comment about how they got their free countermeasures test back at the beginning of this conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, Hockey Day has the show title for us. It's Dr. Evil Space Lasers.
I like it.
And Derek has got in with will the big boy fit inside the starship? Then of course is Austin Powers mentioned, so that was good as well. The spaceship, yes indeed. Well, with that, I want to ask everyone, if you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up at this point. And if you haven't, please press that subscribe button. It helps out, supports the show, and doesn't cost you a dime. Through the week, if you want to keep up with us, subscribe to our Twitter feed at The Tesla Life, as well as our Facebook feed, The Tesla Life #1. And with that, you can keep up on the updates as we send them throughout the week. And we would really appreciate that as well. That said, Mr. Green, what have you got for us this week for parting words?
Well, if you like this format, I've got something similar on Sundays with a little bit different of a subject matter. We do touch Tesla, but more EVs, green living, a lot more back and forth. So if you want to check that out, go to youtube.com/CaseyGreen. That's KACEYGREEN. That's Sundays at 1:10 Eastern. And eventually, whenever my daughter cooperates, I actually put out pre-recorded videos on my life in Tesla, basically. So tips and hints, like I talked about how to get the free premium internet connectivity. That's in the channel. So check it out.
Very good. Will do. And Patrick, what do you got for us this evening as we close out?
As always, I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org. And I blog occasionally at carswithcords.net, where I talk about a future free from fossil fuels.
You got it
and
in.
Our path to get there. Yeah, in fact, Senator Mercury today just tweeted something about we need to electrify everything and power it with renewable energy. And I'm like,
electrify all the things.
Exactly. Yes. Those are our, if we ever have a T-shirt store, we're gonna have these in there. The F-bomb, the electrify all the things. Yeah, and so I mentioned we've been having heat here, like a lot of places around the world, and yesterday was particularly interesting because with the power cost here goes up at 6 a.m. So I was running off the grid until 6 a.m. Then at 6 a.m. I started running off the battery. Then by 7 the sun was up, and that was able to power the house. So the battery took a rest. Then by 8 I'm getting some surplus. I'm able to start filling the battery. By noon, probably before that, the battery's full, and now we're supplying to the grid. And then the sun starts setting, and we've got the AC cranked up because it was hot. Now the solar can't keep up, so it starts discharging the battery. The battery and the sun, as the sun set by 8, we were able to not use any grid power until 10 p.m., which covered all of mid-peak and peak. So I on the hottest day of the year, I did not use the grid at all except at off-peak hours. So yeah,
or to help the grid.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. I was able to feed some solar into the grid when it needed it most. Yeah. So all these folks who are saying, "Oh, I just saw this thing where some senator was giving Pete Buttigieg a hard time saying that if everybody switched to EVs, the grid would collapse. And he's like, well, that's why we have we want to improve the infrastructure, and everybody's not going to switch overnight. The grid will improve as it's as needed. And who's more likely to? So you can't compare an EV to like an air conditioner. You have to run the air conditioner when it's hot. Your EV, you have some flexibility about when you charge it, and you're going to charge it when it's cheapest, unless you're just made out of money and don't care, right?
Right.
So, if a few people are like that, whatever, okay, they can pay extra and they can pay the utility more, so they can pay for upgrades for stuff. I don't know. It was just a ridiculous argument, and I'm definitely going to blog about that day, and you will see it soon at carswithcores.net. Thank you.
Not to mention that every gas car, for every gallon of gas you make for a fossil, uses the same amount of electricity as an EV uses. Anyway, but
yes.
You gotta.
I wish Buttigieg would have said that, but I think that would be lost on most people. They'd be like, "What? It's gasoline. It's not electricity." But that gasoline has to be refined, and that happens at a refinery. And if you look at, say, California, and you see who their biggest consumers of electricity are, refineries are up there at the top of that list. So every mile that you drive uses about the same electricity, whether it's a gas car or an electric car. So, but that's not a straightforward answer. But it's if you're an EV advocate, you should know that fact. You should be able to say to someone who says, "Oh, you're just using electricity from a coal plant," and you can say, "I'm using exactly the same amount you are."
That's right.
Like, what? No.
And mine was probably solar.
And to learn more of those facts, I would ask that you out there look up National Drive Electric Week, which is coming up at the last week of September and first week of October, and look for particular your area on the map and attend one of these. Sign up on the forum that's provided. It's free, it's fun, and you get to learn these facts from people that actually drive the EVs in your area. So if you've got questions, you want to learn more, that's a great place to start. And National Drive Electric Week is a fantastic resource that everyone can use. We're actually throwing a meetup ourselves on October 1st, and I'm sure the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association is going to be doing one as well, and I'm sure there's one in Casey's neck of the woods as well. So
about 5.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
So with that, we will say goodnight. We'll catch you next week, and together we will find out what is happening in the Tesla life.
Thank you, Lee Moon.
Stay positive.
Have a great week, everyone.